Welcome to the Ohio State Fair Dog Agility Program. This year we're running 2 rings. This is ring 2, and you'll be seeing jumpers level 3. Jumpers level 3 is the highest level for 4-H'ers, and this course simply is comprised of jumps and tunnels. The dog must take this in the correct order. This is Sarah Deacon from Franklin County running Steeler a Sheltie, and they're with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. Anthony Kramer is in the ring. They're from Hancock County. He's running Knight, a Labrador Retriever, and they're with Paws for Fun 4-H Club. Anthony's bringing the dog around so it completes that obstacle in the correct order. And he's doing a lot of encouraging of his dog. Again, you can talk to your dog as much as you want in agility, which is one of the nice things about this venue. In other areas of dog training, you can't talk to your dog as much as you can in agility. Nice run. This is Melanie Evans from Clark County. She's running Romeo, an English Springer Spaniel, and they're with Canine Chaos 4-H Club. She got Romeo back, and they're taking the obstacles in the correct order. It was a nice front cross. Telling Romeo to go out. And they complete the course. Now up is Haley Milliron. They're from Clark County. She's running Hunter, a Labrador Retriever, and they're with Canine Chaos 4-H Club. Something is drawing a couple of those dogs to that tunnel, but they begin okay. It's a front cross. And those crosses change the dog's position relative to the handler. That was another front cross that the handler did. Nice fast course. Now in the ring is Allison Sanders. They're from Clark County. She's running Gracie, a Labrador Retriever, and they're with Canine Chaos 4-H Club. It was a dropped bar, which does incur a fault. Another dropped bar. Jacob Zettel is now on the line. They're from Clark County. He's running Jack and Aussie Doodle, and they're with Canine Chaos 4-H Club. And that was a back jump, and that does incur a fault. There's another back jump. And a knocked bar incurs a fault. Jacob is electing to run on the outside, trying to get the dog to speed up, and it's working. Now that was an inadvertent touch. Handlers can't touch the dog or any of the obstacles without incurring a fault. If the dog inadvertently steps into you, that's usually not counted against you. Now in the ring is Lauren Hitt. They're from Franklin County. She's running Sadie, an All-American, and they too are with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. Sadie wants to have a lot of run time before she commits to anything. That was a fault because that was an obstacle taken out of order. You really want to have a fast dog, but sometimes fast dogs bring their own set of problems. The handlers really have to be on top of what they're doing and how they're directing a dog that is really, really fast. There's the drop bar, which does incur a fault, and that completes the course. J.C. Critchett is running Jasmine, an Australian Shepherd. They're from Hancock County, and they're with Paws for Fun 4-H Club. What she's doing is called a lead out, where she gets ahead of the dog. And again, if you have a really fast dog, that is often a technique that you'll use to try to be sure that you can stay up with or a little bit ahead of your dog. You watch Casey's hands. She is directing the dog with her hand. Nice run. Next up, Jess Renew from Medina County. She's running Jack, an All-American, and they're with Bravado's 4-H Club. See how she has her hand extended. That was a drop bar, which does incur a fault. Jess is indicating with her hand what direction, what obstacle she wants the dog to take. Now that was a front cross. Our next handler is Bronwyn Walker. They're from Champaign County. She's running Velvet, a Springer Border Collie mix, and they're with Muttley Crew 4-H Club. Looks like Velvet has a mind of her own when it comes to this course. So we'll wait for Bronwyn to try to get her back. When you gotta go, you gotta go. And that takes care of that run. Now up is Amanda McQuarrie. She's running Gunner, a Border Collie. They're from Brown County, and they're with Brown County Canine Renegades 4-H Club. Did a nice job of pulling Gunner back to do that run correctly. Again, she got his attention back nicely. Nice run. Now up is Hannah Ford. Hannah's running Sophie, a Brittany Setter mix. They're from Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club in Franklin County. Again, nice lead out there. This is a 20-inch dog height. The height of the jumps are dictated by the height of the dog at the withers. In 4-H, we're a little bit more lenient, in part because the dogs are older, in part because the handlers are younger. So there's a wider range of dog heights that handlers can elect for the dogs to jump. She does a really nice save there to keep that dog from incurring a fault on a wrong course. And there's a nice front cross. See how she tipped her shoulders to keep the dog from running into that tunnel. And again, she's going to try to prevent the dog from doing and they ran out of time. This is Lauren Hitt from Franklin County running Lily. Lily is an All-American, which means it's a mixed breed dog. And they too are with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. She's slowing Lily down. And again, that's completely acceptable in 4-H. In other venues, placings are indicated by the speed. You want a clean run and then you want a fast run in order to have either a qualifying score or to be one of the top placing dogs. In 4-H, we don't place. We simply give awards, gold, silver, bronze, depending on the quality of the run and whether or not it was within time. That was a back jump, so that did incur a fault. She's going to try really hard to get the dog to do the obstacle that she wants, and there she got it. Lily is pretty wound up on this run. And they ran out of time. The next dog in the ring is Blitz. Blitz is a border collie handled by Alexis Bruns from Henry County, and they're with Henry County Dudes and Duds 4-H Club. That drop bar does incur a fault. And that's another risk with a fast dog. Sometimes the dogs are so fast that they tick the bar with their front paws. And border collies tend to be one of the breeds that goes really, really fast. And so that's one of the challenges. Our last run in Jumpers Level 3 is Lauren Christensen running McKinley. McKinley is a bearded collie mix. They're from Montgomery County, and they're with Dog Whisperers 4-H Club. Now, she's electing to lead out with dog on right. And again, the handler can be wherever she chooses to be. That was a wrong course and another wrong course because of the back jump. Now she gets that fixed, gets the dog back on course. And again, that's not a problem as long as the dog takes the correct side, which it did. And she prevents it from the back jump. That's a nice correction. Last two obstacles, and that completes the run, and that completes Jumpers Level 3.
I'd like to, as always, thank the Ohio Township Association, who are generous sponsors of the Ohio State Fair Dog 4-H program. We have with us today Scott Fabian from OTA and Larry Burke from OTA, and they'll be helping distribute awards.
These are all 4-H handlers, now in the ring running Jumpers Level 2. From Medina County is Megan Hyman with Corey, a Shih Tzu Bichon Frise mix. In Jumpers, the handlers have to follow a designated course that has been set up by the judge. And you can see the little cups on each side of the jump. She's following those numbers. And a jumper's course has jumps, as you can see, and tunnels, and that makes up the course in its entirety. This is a timed course. And that's the final jump. Next in the ring is Elijah Voorhees. Gray is a Shetland sheepdog, and they're with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club and Whetstone 4-Hers. You see he missed the jump, but Elijah's going to pull the dog back without having him take the jump in the wrong way, because that would incur a fault. All they're losing right now is time, and as long as Elijah is able to get Gray back and complete the course in the proper order, they'll be in fine shape as long as they make time. And that was a wrong course, so the dog took the tunnel in the wrong direction. The dog has to go through the tunnel in the proper direction, which is indicated by the cones on the side. And a wrong course does incur a fault. And Elijah is avoiding a back jump. And it looks like they've run out of time. Now in the ring is Brittany Allen. Brittany is running Ollie, an All-American, and they're with Canine Crew 4-H Club. The dropped bar also incurs a fault, and a certain number of faults are allowed. Handlers in 4-H receive awards of gold, silver, or bronze, depending on how they proceed through the ring, their time, those kinds of things. Summer Lehman is from Future Finders 4-H Club from Hamilton County, and she's running Marty, a miniature poodle. Again, you can see the handlers are using their arms to help indicate to the dog which obstacles to take in what order. Dogs often cue off not only the handler's arms, but also the feet and the shoulders. So as competitors advance in agility, they pay closer attention to their own directions to the dog, both verbally and non-verbally. And that's the final obstacle. And again, that refusal is okay as long as the handler goes back and the dog corrects that, which she did, and as long as they meet time. Now running is Kate Crow from Fairfield County. They're with Unleashed 4-H Club, and Shadow is a Labrador Retriever. Shadow would like to visit. And again, in 4-H, this is okay as long as the dog completes the obstacles in the correct order and achieves that within the time limits. In other venues, AKC, USDAA, or CPE, these would have incurred faults, but in 4-H, because the goal is for the handlers to learn and for the dogs to learn, we're a little bit more lax when it comes to faults. And again, that's a refusal, but it's acceptable in 4-H as long as the handler completes, or the dog completes the obstacles in the correct order. And there's the last jump. Anna Ryder is now in the ring. They're from Hancock County. She's running Huggers, a Labrador mix, and they're with Raise the Bar Agility 4-H Club. Handlers learn different kind of crosses. That was a blind cross. Ideally, a handler will try to run on the inside of any arc. So you want the dog on the outside, so the dog has to run more than the handler does. And there's another cross, crossing the dog from dog on right to dog on left. And that completes the run, and that completes Jumpers Level 2.
I'd like to, as always, thank the Ohio Township Association who are generous sponsors of the Ohio State Fair Dog 4-H program. We have with us today Scott Fabian from OTA and Larry Burke from OTA, and they'll be helping distribute awards.
This is level 1. Kennedy Hughes is running Rascal, a Yorkie Shih Tzu. They're from Dark County, and they're with Canine Capers 4-H Club. This is also a jumper's course. It's level 1, which is the lowest level after on-lead. So these are off-lead dogs. Sometimes this is the first time they've run competitively off-lead, and that can bring its own challenges. Now running is Acadia Harvey Thurston. She's running Rose, a Cardigan Welsh Corgi. They're from Franklin County, and they're with Whetstone 4-H'ers. Doesn't look like much of a jump, but these corgis are long-bodied, and so that makes it a little bit trickier. Acadia chose to switch around behind, do what's called a back cross or a blind cross, so that she could position herself. Now running is River Demi Stover, running Eddie. Eddie's an All-American, and they're from Greene County with Four Paws and Claws 4-H Club. There's a nice front cross. You can see he's really using his hand to direct the dog where he wants Eddie to go. Beth Mason is now running Cookie, a West Highland White Terrier. They're from Hamilton County with Gorman Farms 4-H Club. She just did what's called a blind cross. Completes the course. Megan Hyman is running Ariel, a Yorkie Shih Tzu. They're from Medina County, and they're with Medina County Underdogs 4-H Club. And she's off. And again, this is only counting against the time. There is a maximum amount of time that the dog can use for this course, as long as they don't exceed that time, and as long as the handler gets the dog back to complete the course in the proper order, all will be okay unless the dog leaves the ring. And she's trying, and again, handlers can touch neither the dog nor any of the obstacles. So when you're trying to get a dog back, you really just want to be able to grab it, but you can't. So you have to use all that praise and encouragement to try to get the dog where you want it to go. And I think where this dog wants to go is out. Megan's going to keep trying. And time runs out. So now in the ring is Anna Jeffries with Buddy, a Bichon Frise. They're from Mercer County, and they're with Dogs R Us 4-H Club. And you can see this is a tiny dog. It's running, its jump height is 4 inches, which is not a whole lot off the ground, but enough that the dog needs to know they need to do something different in their gait. completes that course. This course has an electric eye at the end, so the time stops automatically and starts automatically at the beginning. You can see that electric eye, electric timer. And that was a refusal, but again, that's not counted against in 4-H. A refusal is acceptable, even a second refusal is acceptable. She gets the dog back, takes that obstacle in the correct order, and it does not count against her. And again, in other venues, those refusals would accrue faults, but in 4-H, it just is a matter of you're losing time when the dog is doing those refusals or isn't coming where you want it to be. Anna's going to try to encourage Buddy without touching him. And you can see how difficult that can be sometimes. But she gets him back. She remembers she needs to complete that obstacle. And she still has 2 more to go. And time runs out. Carly Cowa is running a toy Manchester Terrier Delilah. They're from Franklin County with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. See her holding her hand out to indicate what she wants from the dog. This is Luke Merrick. Luke is running Bandit, a Pomeranian. They're from Franklin County, and they're with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. And you see Luke using his hands to give direction to the dog, and then calling the dog through the tunnel. Tick that bar. The dog appears to be limping, which is why Luke is taking him off the course. I don't know if something happened in the ring, but the dog does appear to be limping. Peter Merrick is now running Phoebe at Papillon. They're from Franklin County with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. See that front cross? He wanted to get the dog. It didn't work, but he wanted to get the dog on the other side. Now, as long as the dog doesn't back jump, oh, and that's the back jump that you didn't want. And a back jump and a drop bar. It's probably still just one fault. He chooses to go on. I think he's decided to let the Papillon have its way. He's going to try and get it back. Takes that jump and has 2 more jumps. Didn't want that one. Oh, he almost saved it from the back jump. There's something that Phoebe is looking at, and it's not that jump. Now running is Elijah Voorhees. He's running Janie, a Shetland sheepdog. They're from Franklin County, and they're with Canine Wonder Dogs and Whetstone 4-H'ers, 4-H clubs. It's a little easier for handlers with dogs that run a little bit more slowly than some of those fast dogs that we've watched. The handler doesn't have to move quite as quickly. And here there's a maximum course time. So as long as you are within the framework of that maximum course time, you're fine. And there's the last jump. Althea Myers is running Max, a Sheltie mix. They're from Licking County, and they're with Patchwork Pals 4-H Club. They started, and Max took off a little bit. So again, Althea can't touch the dog or she incurs a fault. So she's going to try to encourage the dog to get Max back on the course without treats. They're not allowed to have treats in the ring, and without touching the dog. So that positive encouragement, doing everything you can to try to get that dog to come where you want rather than where it wants, which in this case seems to be out of that ring. You can see the timer indicating the elapsed time in that previous shot. This is where she stopped before. And Max again is going to try to see if there's a way he can get out of that ring. And now they're out of time, so that's the point at which she will touch the dog. Now in the ring is Anna Kaler. Anna is running Pembroke Welsh Corgi Tad. They're from Mercer County with Dogs R Us 4-H Club. There's a nice front cross. See how fast she has to go, because that is a fast dog. Now it did miss that obstacle. I think she's going to just let that go, and that did incur a fault. This is Maylin Rose. She's running Titan, a Cavalier King Charles Shepherd. No, that'd be a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. They're from Clark County, and they're with Happy Tails 4-H Club. And that back jump does incur a fault, and that's another one. Those are basically wrong courses at that point. Cavaliers are part of the Spaniel family, so that's another hunting type dog. And you can see the nose to the ground is an indicator of that. It does take the final obstacles though. Hannah is a standard poodle. She's handled by Odessa Musgrave. They're from Hancock County with Paws for Fun 4-H Club. She did a nice job of calling the dog without it doing a wrong course, without it back jumping. It was nicely handled. Julia Parthamore is running Izzy, a Border Collie. They're from Hardin County with Hardin County Tail Waggers 4-H Club. She's going to bring the dog back and try to be sure that it takes that correct obstacle, which she did. Again, fast dog brings about different challenges for the handlers. You can see when she stopped, the dog stopped as well. And there again, that's something that you're aware of as a handler. Sometimes you can't help it. Sparkle is an Aussie Doodle handled by Joy Kindle from Medina County and Medina County Underdogs 4-H Club. Finish that ran nicely. Buddy is a Cocker Spaniel being handled by Keegan Linden of Medina County, and they're with Medina County Underdogs 4-H Club. Some dogs really like tunnels, and they will take a tunnel no matter what you ask them to do, and this seems to be the case with Buddy. Buddy left the ring, so we're on to the next handler. Hope Mann is running Lucy, a blue heeler. They're from Mercer County with Dogs R Us 4-H Club. She called him off that other side of that tunnel really nicely. Dogs tend to want to go in a straight line, and the arc of those last 3 jumps are such that it's easy for the dog to miss the last jump because of the line that they're heading in. Teresa Green is running Ginger, a mountain cur. They're from Seneca County, and Doggone It's 4-H Club is their club. She brings the dog back, and that's perfectly okay in 4-H. Cassidy Reynolds is running Aslan, a Sheltie. They're from Seneca County, and Doggone It's 4-H Club. She's electing to let the dog skip that obstacle. You see the judge has intentionally turned his back to the dog so that the judge doesn't create any interest to the dog, which is a really nice thing for a judge to do. And she's elected to end that run. Kayla Reynolds is running Abby, a puggle. They're from Seneca County with Doggone It's 4-H Club. He's going to try to get the dog back to start that course, and we're successful there. Now he's going to try to get the dog back without doing that back jump. So he's talking to the dog. Oh. And the dog says, no thanks. The dog thinks it's having a lot of fun. I'm not sure the handler agrees. But the handler's doing a really nice job of being patient with this dog. And again, you'll notice these are members of the ring crew who are sitting there. These are people who will set the bar if bars get dropped. And the ring crew members typically ignore the dog so that they don't become a distraction. He's going to take the dog out. You see her raising her arm to show the dog what obstacle she wants to take in which order. Now, and when the dog doesn't do it, she calls her back, tries to make sure that the dog doesn't back jump. She handled that well. This is the dog that does not mind that tunnel at all. And the back jump and the bar dropping does incur a fall. And sometimes you'll notice jumpers have 3 different levels. Level 1, actually 4 levels. Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3. And then an on-lead level. Typically the dogs will go on lead their first year. And then when they switch to off-lead in Level 1, that can be where we see these kinds of instances. And some of it is just nerves. Some of it is the dog being off-lead for the first time. And if they're comfortable in a different environment running agility, once they're in this new environment, and this, of course, would be a new environment for them here at the Denny Hales Arena, they sometimes just decide they really would rather wander around. This is Marina Auger, handling Macy and Australian Shepherd. They're from Ashland County with Paws, Pals, and Barn Buddies 4-H Club. A blind cross. That the handler did. And see how that dog wants to go in the direction that it took that jump. That's a challenge for the handler because the handler needs to shift their shoulders and their arm to get that dog to pivot a little bit more because of the arc of those final 3 jumps. Daniel Mashoni is running Ranger. Ranger's a blackmouth cur. They're from Champaign County with Muttley Crew 4-H Club. And again, that same arc became a problem. But it's not incurring a fault, it's just losing time. And the dog's running fast enough that won't be a problem.
Go.
Izzy Fankhauser is running Gage, an All-American. They're from Franklin County, and they're with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. Nice front cross. She got the dog to tuck in, and that was a nice run. Bug Petros is running Trixie, a boxer mix. They're from Franklin County and Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. And Trixie is off. Trixie's pretty excited about having a ring to herself. And again, the gates, you see the gate steward there ensuring that Trixie does not go out of the ring. That was a wrong course. Took a jump in the wrong direction. And you can see the timer there. And next up, Ava Riggs is running George, an All-American. They're from Franklin County with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. also looks happy with freedom. Here she gets back. Ooh, back for a second. Likes the tunnel. Oh, and that eliminating in the ring does mean that the dog is excused. They take a minute and then they clean up the ring and then they move on. This is Ilana Inbody running Coco, a Labradoodle. They're from Hancock County with Raise the Bar Agility 4-H Club. Katrina Williams is running Sadie. Sadie's a Border Collie. They're from Seneca County with Doggone It's 4-H Club. Oh, she almost prevented that back jump, that fault. She got so close. And she's going to try to line the dog up to get him into that tunnel. There's a blind cross. And a nice arc there. And she pivots around to get the dog back to take that last jump. Alexis Vaughn is running Roscoe. Roscoe is an Australian Shepherd. They're from Ross County with 4-H dog lovers. Nice ending to that run.
Today's runs are being taped for the Ohio channel, and you'll be able to view a compilation of these runs at ohiochannel.org. I'd like to, as always, thank the Ohio Township Association, who are generous sponsors of the Ohio State Fair Dog 4-H program. We have with us today Scott Fabian from OTA and Larry Burke from OTA, and they'll be helping distribute awards.
This is jumpers on lead. So in 4-H, handlers, especially when they're just beginning to teach agility to their dogs, are allowed to run on lead. This is Micah Arbogast with Balto and Aussie Doodle. They're from Dark County with Canine Capers 4-H Club. The handler needs to be very careful that they don't drag the dog by the lead, which can be very tempting. This is the other downside of running a dog on lead, that oftentimes the lead will cause a bar to be dropped, and that's a risk that you take. But it helps to keep the dog in check a little bit. That drop bar does incur a fault. She's encouraging the dog, and when they go through the tunnel, they do kind of toss the lead, and the dog still has to come through, and then the handler picks up the lead. Now, when the dog goes the wrong way in the tunnel, she does a nice job of putting it back in. This is where you see the handler clapping and oftentimes calling the dog's name. That's just to let the dog know that you really do want them to go through the tunnel and not to turn around in it. Picks up that lead again. Encourages the dog over. And again, on this course, the dog and handler do have to go in the order that is determined by the judge. So the little cones on the side indicate which order they need to go in. This is Andrew Shiplet running Lovey, an All-American. They're from Franklin County, and they're with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. Again, you see him slapping his hands against his legs to make sure the dog knows that he has moved in the direction of the direction of the tunnel. Miriam Tarazzi is running Charlie, a Havanese. They're from Franklin County, and they're with Muttering Mutts 4-H Club. She does a nice job with keeping the leash as loose as possible. Charlie decided not to go all the way through, so she's trying again. Again, these jumps are low because the dog is short, and that indicates the level, the height of the jumps. This is Michelle Gossel running Brownie. Brownie is an All-American. They're from Greene County, and they're with Four Paws and Claws 4-H Club. And again, 4-H is the only place in Ohio, anyway, that you would see dogs and handlers running agility on lead. This is another risk with the dog, and that's the other one. The bars often get knocked over by the leash, and sometimes the dog can get the leash in a place where it shouldn't be, under its foot, although that got corrected. Next up, Carson Seifer with Gidget, a miniature schnauzer. They're from Hancock County with Paws for Fun 4-H Club. And that does incur a fault because the dog went into the tunnel in the wrong direction. That's something you want to be careful about, to not let the dog control the lead. This is Madison Van Wormer. She's running Willie, a beagle. They're from Hancock County, and they too are with Paws for Fun 4-H Club. Any dog can run agility. Some of them are more into it than others, or are more naturally adept at it. Beagles are part of the hound group, which means that they often want to be sniffing the ground. So sometimes beagles add a different level of challenge, as do some other breeds that are terriers sometimes, because their goal is to do a lot of sniffing of the ground. She does a nice job with that. Now running is Lauren Sifranic. She's running Molly, a terrier mix. They're from Medina County, and they're with Brunswick Saddlers 4-H Club. Yeah, that lead kind of got tripped up on that bar. And that does incur a fault. Whenever a bar gets knocked down, whether it's by the handler or the dog, that does incur a fault. This is Ranger, a beagle, handled by David Green from Seneca County, and they're with Doggone It's 4-H Club. Again, you can see that beagle really wanting to sniff the ground. And David's trying to get it oriented towards what David wants it to do. And they did knock that bar on the first jump. think Ranger isn't all that excited about agility today. And again, sometimes you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes a dog will run perfectly for you at home or wherever it is that you typically train, but then they get to a new environment and they just are uncomfortable enough or stressed enough that it's just not going to work today. And that seemed to be what is happening to Ranger today. Ranger looks very interested in figuring out what's on the ground, but doesn't really want to do agility today. Now in the ring is Rebecca Green, also from Seneca County, running Watson, another beagle, and they're with Doggonet's 4-H Club. She goes, she picks up the leash. Oops, got a little bit tripped up, but that worked out okay. Next in the ring, Cassidy Reynolds running Romy, a King Charles mix. They're from Seneca County, and they too are with Doggonet's 4-H Club. And again, they do need to take each obstacle in the correct order. And this on lead is usually the first step for dogs and handlers when they're in 4-H, if they want to run agility. This is Hannah Dingledine. She's running Dixie, another beagle. They're from Champaign County, and they are with Muttley Crew 4-H Club. And she's going to try to get Dixie to go back into that tunnel. Sometimes the dog's unsure that that tunnel is particularly dark, and sometimes that doesn't help because it seems like it's just a black hole. There are other dogs that will take a tunnel no matter what you ask them to do. And again, sometimes what helps through that tunnel is if the dog knows that you are also moving. So you do hear handlers call the dog or talk to the dog as they're going through. And it looks like time was called. So next in the ring is Naomi Hathaway with Colonel, a Basset Hound. They're from Dark County with Canine Capers 4-H Club. That first jump did have a bar get knocked off, so that will incur a fault. Basset Hounds can add another level of trickiness because they are so long. That breed's a long breed, Dachshunds. Sometimes there's a more difficult time for a dog like that to get over the jump without knocking the bar. And she does a nice job with Colonel. Now in the ring is Madison Reed running Scout, a boxer mix. They're with Unleashed 4-H Dog Club in Fairfield County. That knocked bar does incur a fault. And you can see the judge raise his hand. That's an indication to the scribe table. The scribe is the person who is indicating if there are faults that occur. And the scribe only indicates that if they see the judge raise their hand. The judge has a number of different signals that he uses to indicate what the fault was. Ella Holtzberry is running Indigo, an All-American. They're from Franklin County with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. See how she's clapping her hands to call the dog so the dog knows that she is also going in that direction? that drop bar does incur a fault. She does a nice job indicating to her dog that she too is moving and she wants the dog to move in that direction. This is Maggie Schleppy. She's running Oswald, a mini Aussie. They're from Franklin County, and they're with Muttering Mutts 4-H Club. Now in the ring is Ellie Starner running Cole and All-American. They're from Franklin County with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. She wants to make sure she takes all of the correct obstacles in the correct order. There's a front cross to put her on the other side. And the drop bar does incur a fault. And again, in 4-H agility, some faults are okay. This is Caden Elam. They're from Franklin County. He's running Cypher, an American Staffordshire Terrier. They're with Future Finders 4-H Club. This is a breed that you don't see a whole lot running agility. He's doing a really nice job with this dog. Now running is Dylan Elam, also from Hamilton County, running Fox, a GSD ACD, and they're with Future Finders 4-H Club. It's not uncommon for a dog to want to follow the handler, which again, that's why it's so important for a handler to notify the dog where he or she is. Last jump completes the course. Next up, from Medina County, is Riley Hayes running Copper, a Cavachon, and they're from Medina County Underdogs 4-H Club. And again, this is a jumper's course, and in 4-H, a jumper's course also includes tunnels. In this case, there are 2 tunnels that the dog must take in the proper order. This is Caitlin Praisler running Juno, a Cocker Spaniel mix. They're from Medina County Underdogs 4-H Club in Medina County. She was able to ensure that the dog took that obstacle. And she'll do the same thing with this tunnel. That was a front cross so that she could change sides, so that she could stay on the inside of that arc. And the drop bar does incur a fault. Anna Parks is now running Lucy and All-American. They're from Ross County, and they're in 4-H Dog Lovers 4-H Club. All the handlers that you're seeing today are involved in 4-H, definitely with their dogs. They might be involved in other 4-H projects as well. There are a number of... This is a dog that does not want to take that tunnel. And who knows why. It could be that they've just not had enough opportunity training, especially a tunnel that's dark. Although this green one, it doesn't seem to be quite as much of a problem. Although it's not fast. There it goes. She's electing to skip that and just take the fault. This is Kaylor Reynolds running Utah, a Sheltie. They're from Seneca County with Doggone It's 4-H Club. Next week, 4-H handlers will be showing their dogs in other dog events for 4-H as well. They run obedience, showmanship, which used to be called grooming and handling, rally, which is another type of obedience. And most of these handlers will also participate at their county fair in 4-H, and most of them will have been working their dogs throughout the year. This is Grant Seifer running Trixie, a Labrador Retriever. They're from Hancock County, and they're with Paws for Fun 4-H Club. That knocked bar, you saw the dog ticked it with its hindquarters, and sometimes Labradors have this problem, this issue, and sometimes it's just because of the way they're built. This is Kristen Bushnell running Callie. Callie is a golden retriever. They're from Clark County, and they're in Canine Chaos 4-H Club. Callie likes to hold on to that leash herself. And this is another situation where the dog may just not be comfortable with the darkness of that tunnel, or because Kristen is standing there instead of moving, that's probably not helping the situation either. See, now when Kristen ran, the dog was much more willing to go through that tunnel. She does a nice job keeping that leash loose, which is important for 4-H handlers. This is Heather Milliron running Autumn, a Labrador Retriever. They're from Clark County with Canine Chaos 4-H Club. Again, you see her calling to the dog, and she did a front cross before Autumn even got to her so that she could stay on the inside arc. Now you see her doing another cross so that, again, she stays on the inside arc of the dog. Unfortunately, Autumn knocked a bar, and that does incur a fault. Next up, Olivia Carty with Phoebe, an Australian Shepherd. They're from Delaware County, and they're with Sunbury, Halters, and Sadler 4-H Club. That's a dog that wants to run fast. This is Lauren Nickham running Hunter, a Labrador mix. They're from Franklin County, and they're with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. You see Lauren being really careful to get that leash way up above the jump so that she doesn't actually knock the bar down. See how she holds her hand way high. She handled that leash very well. Grant Ryder is running Ella, a Labrador mix. They're from Hancock County, and they're with Raise the Bar, Agility 4-H Club. Now running is Christian Browning running Allie, a Border Aussie mix. They're from Mercer County, and they're with Dogs R Us 4-H Club. Hayden Browning from Mercer County is running Spot, a Border Collie, and they too are with Dogs R Us 4-H Club. It's another dog that really wants to go fast. So the challenge is for the handler to be able to stay up with the dog. Grace Crow is running Joy, a golden retriever from Miami County, with Classy Canines 4-H Club. She'll just switch sides so she could be on the inside of the arc. Ariana Skinner is running Turbo, an English Shepherd. They're from Monroe County, and they're with Outlaw Classics 4-H Club. And again, that was an inadvertent touch, so that probably would not be counted against her. This is Lily Parks running Bruiser, a Border Collie Heeler mix. They're from Ross County, and they're with 4-H Dog Lovers 4-H Club. This jumpers course is a variation on jumpers with weaves that you see in AKC. They don't include weave pulls. It's just jumps and tunnels in this case. This is Nolan Schaefer running Piper and Aussie Poo. They're from Fairfield County, and they're with Unleashed 4-H Club. Oop, and this is another dog that really wants to go fast, and unfortunately knocked a bar, which does incur a fault. The handler's doing a nice job of trying to get to the dog before. Ooh. And that is something that's not allowed. The 4-H'er handlers are not allowed to do the jumps or any of the obstacles with the dog. But this dog seems to be a force to be reckoned with a mind of its own. And they do get that last obstacle in. This is Kate Crow running Zeta, a German Shepherd. They're from Fairfield County with Unleashed 4-H Club. Can see because they're on lead, she's tucking that leash into the tunnel. Some dogs are a little bit reluctant to go with their lead when it's on the ground. Zeta didn't seem to have a problem with it. This is Rachel Poling. She's running Bella, a German short-haired pointer. They're from Franklin County with Canine Wonder Dogs 4-H Club. And these are dogs running 20 inches, and that's again because the dogs are taller, so their height is determined by their height at the withers, although allowances are made in 4-H for dogs who are older, and there's a little bit more variation that's allowed in 4-H. Australian Shepherd also wants to go fast, so the handler is really having to dog, unfortunately the leash is underneath, and that might have been why the bar was dropped there. Again, that refusal again in 4-H is okay. The dog can do what's called a refusal. It's not counted against them in 4-H as long as they then go and do the correct obstacle.
Today's runs are being taped for the Ohio channel, and you'll be able to view a compilation of these runs at ohiochannel.org. I'd like to, as always, thank the Ohio Township Association, who are generous sponsors of the Ohio State Fair Dog 4-H program. We have with us today Scott Fabian from OTA and Larry Burke from OTA, and they'll be helping distribute awards.